Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So, today we're going to be doing some social media training. This is going to be the introduction to our course. We're going to cover just generally what we're going to be doing over the next 6, 7 weeks and also going through goal setting as module one. So, we're going to share our screen here and we'll get started. All right. So, why did we start or offer this training? So we have quite a bit of experience with social media. We've been involved in a lot of big groups with over 100,000 followers. And we've learned a thing or two about how to manage social media accounts. So the thought occurred to us, so why don't we offer some training and try to help others with what we've learned?
And plus, I think we made our mistakes before, so we had to learn it ourselves and sometimes take some courses here and there, which kind of came together and gave us that bigger picture. So we just thought, maybe we can help people avoid those mistakes and
Yeah.
ramble around.
And as you're going to see, social media can get pretty deep. When it's done right, there's kind of some work that has to be done on the back end. So over the next 6 weeks, we're going to be helping you to understand how social media works and especially understand how to speak to your ideal client. All right, so what you're going to learn in this course, number one, the strategy behind posting. A lot of social media that we see online, it's posting without purpose, so with no real strategy. Just slapping together some generic posts, some generic, here's who we are, here's my product, here's my service, buy it from me, with some picture. And that's very clear that there's no strategy behind it. So we're going to teach you how to do it, how to post with purpose or to have an actual strategy.
Well, sometimes people even just hide behind their brand, and we can see that even AI technology can sometimes write better posts than people would write. That means that they never took to their heart the way you're writing it, and that others would, be engaged and be benefit from it.
Okay, just move us over here so we don't cover the bottom one. How to write engaging copy that resonates with your audience. So this one's going to be huge. We're going to get that a little bit later in the course, but that's going to be a big benefit, a huge skill to have for you and your team.
And for us, it was something else, huh?
Yeah.
When at some point we didn't know what to write to get engagement, and remember trying to write like engaging questions and stuff, and they were not relevant, and people which were not our ideal client or which didn't even were interested, or they were trying to offer us services, so they would comment and they would spam us. But then when we actually got the strategy, went deep and start posting, we saw a big difference.
Yeah, so we're actually going to give you a framework on how to structure your posts when you're writing. So the days of just sitting there with a blank screen and just not knowing, not having a clue what to write, those days hopefully are going to be over, because you're actually you're going to have a strategy. You're going to know who you're writing to and what to write, and you're going to have a schedule on which days, which weeks, which months do you write about X, Y, and Z. So
what tool to use, what tools to use,
which tools to use, and so
how they
on.
can help you.
And then how to plan content ahead with no lack of ideas on what to post. So we're going to help you design a content calendar for your company, your organization. So you're going to have themes basically that you're going to be developing. And it's a team effort. So everyone really in your organization should be putting their heads together to come up with the content. But obviously, if there's one person in charge, we'll be helping them along the way as we go through the modules.
And you will realize that not every post has to be advertisement. It's not always that you have to advertise. Your audience needs different kinds of posts to be connected to you on personal level.
Yeah. So, and then how to create attractive graphics. Of course, the text, the copy, or the content are basically synonyms in social media. Um, that's just one part of the equation. Social media platforms like Instagram are very heavily focused on images, and even videos like Reels. So, picture is sometimes worth 1,000 words. So, that's really important to not only find the right image or photography. Ideally would be some photography from your organization, but also stock images. The right picture sometimes will fit the messaging, but you have to do a bit of graphic designing, and we like to use Canva. It's very user friendly, so that you can at least put your branding, keep your consistency with your branding colors and styles.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, onward. Okay, so in this course, we're going to be covering 6 modules. Basically, this introduction slash module 1 is going to be on goal setting. We'll get to that in just a minute, and then the next 5 modules are as follows. So goal setting, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's pretty straightforward, setting short-term and long-term goals. And then we're going to get into some really interesting topics like ideal client. So we're going to help you to identify, to find who is your ideal client, which is essentially the best person that could walk through the door, the best person that could reach out to you looking for your product or your service. So, and this I would say is really the key to a solid social media strategy. It's knowing who you're speaking to, knowing who you're attracting. And I'm sure you can probably relate as you scrolled through different social media platforms. Which are the times that you stopped and actually read through a post and were impressed? Well, it's when it spoke to you personally, right? When it resonated with you personally, where you were at as an individual, who you are, and your context and what you're going through. So it's as if it was written to you, right? So you're going to reverse engineer that concept, and you're going to be identifying that perfect person that you want to be working with for the next 20 years, and you're going to speak directly to them. Now, this is a little bit unconventional because the argument we hear often is, well, we're going to exclude all the whole world that would have been buying my product or service if we do that, but that's not the case. It's going to give you focus. You're going to attract the right people, and all the other people, they're still going to come. They're still going to come. So it's going to give you a new focus on your social media. You're going to be speaking to your ideal client. You're going to be speaking their language. And so in order to do that, you have to find out a lot of things about them. Who they are specifically, their age, gender, are they married, do they have children, do they have pets, where do they work, what kind of car do they drive, what are they interested in? Because your social media posts are not all going to be, here's who we are, here's my product, buy from me. If that's what you're seeing on social media, that's definitely not what we're going to be teaching. So you're going to be posting things that might seem unrelated to your product or services, but in the end, you're always going to tie it in and always going to make that loop and that connection to your ideal client because you know what they're interested in, right? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, a lot of sense. If they like dogs, if they like dogs, then it makes sense to write about dogs. While I don't like dogs, so I wouldn't be I wouldn't be writing about them. Just an example.
Yeah.
And then it goes through market research. So in order to, we identified our ideal client, but now we pinpointed them. But now, what are they struggling with? To go deeper and actually know their needs, we would have to do market research. It's not like you identify that person, you know how they look like, and that's it. Like maybe you have to dig a little bit and to know a little bit more about them from their perspective. So we would check what are they complaining about, what are they asking, what questions they are asking, what are a post they are engaging with, what is their interest. So that would be another part of it, and also we'll check what is our competition. We would say what is other people on market, what are they doing, what kind of posts are they posting, are they posting high quality posts, are they posting something that is not worth even looking at, are they using strategy, are they not using strategy, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and part of that is looking at who has done it successfully in your industry. So we're going to be looking at maybe some bigger name organizations that are at least similar to yours, and that are doing it right. And we're going to look at, well, why are they so successful, right? So it's a little bit of what we call competitor research, although we're not really big on competition per se. We always try to find a way to work with other similar companies as us. But when you're doing research like this, it really gives you a lot of ideas.
Yeah, and sometimes those are the people not even from your area. They might be from, BC and states, but they are doing the right thing. So why don't we just look what they are doing and get some ideas?
All right, so then copywriting. So we already mentioned this. We're going to be giving you a framework on
We
how
have
to.
just 3 different frameworks, like 2 for advertising and 1 more for personal sharing.
Yeah.
But 3 of them work for different people, so you would get feeling which one works best for you, and also will give the advice how to what phrases you should avoid, because people, they're just redundant, or people are not reacting to them too much, and what would you should write instead of them, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we're also going to introduce storytelling. Now, storytelling is something that a lot of people want to avoid. They feel a little bit vulnerable when they think of that. But storytelling is very, very powerful. And some of the most successful people in the world, in the marketing world, they have made that very, very clear that the most successful people are storytellers. People relate to stories. So there is a way to incorporate that into your social media posting, and we'll talk about that. So graphics, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's the
best practices and how to use Canva if you never used it before, and how to keep things consistent. Fonts, we'll choose your fonts based on your website. We'll find a way to get them out of your website and show you how to use them, so that people recognize you once they come on your social media, and then they click on the website, and then they don't get a shock.
Yeah, we'll talk about image editing, video reels, and what they call reels or stories. We'll talk about that, different social media platforms. And obviously branding is going to be really important. So making sure that your colors for your branding, like your branding colors, are seen throughout your social media platforms, and they're seen consistently. It's really important. Some social media accounts we see, they're just all over the place. Like you open them up and it's just a lot of contrast with just random pictures, images, and there's no consistency. But you'll notice that the most successful people on social media, when you go to their account, that's one thing that will be striking, is the consistency with their branding, their colors. So we'll talk about that as well. Last module, we're going to be wrapping things up. So obviously we're going to help you schedule your first month of content. And that's the great thing about the strategies that we teach. You essentially take 2, 3, or 4 days per month to gather all of your information together and create all of your posts and do the graphics, and then you schedule them, and then they go out throughout the month. So the bulk of the work is done in a few days, you could say, per month. Obviously, there's work to be done throughout the month. And especially if you have someone on staff who's like, they're dedicated to working on your social media. We'll talk about the different things you can do kind of day to day, week to week. But the bulk of post creation is going to be done within a few days, and you're essentially just going to schedule that, and it's going to post on its own.
And I will cover like specifics of every social media. Like Instagram has its own specifics, like hashtags, and Facebook has its own specifics. So just to make sure that apart from just posting, you're staying on top of things.
Yeah. All right, so goal setting. Now we're going to keep this pretty short because this is also the introduction to the course, and we've already talked for a little while, going on 15 minutes or so. So we'll keep it pretty short for the goal setting, and then we'll do a separate video for the homework for this module. All right, so goals are broken down into two. So there's short-term goals and long-term goals. Some of these short-term goals we're going to be helping you guys with. For example, create appealing social media profiles. So what we call optimizing your accounts. Like we're gonna do a little audit of your social media accounts, and we're gonna let you know what we would suggest. So that usually involves rewriting your descriptions, maybe changing the profile picture, adding in some information, removing some information, and some general kind of house cleaning of your social media accounts. That would be more on the short-term scale. Like you would just set a short-term goal that is achievable on the short term, and then you just work at it, get it done, it's finished, right? Do you want to talk about a few more?
Yeah, sometimes short-term goals can be as a part of long-term goal. For example, when business just starting out, right? One thing that we have to think about is, there's some people that would buy from us, but they didn't build trust yet. So for us, it would be very, very important to start collecting reviews. This is something we can do right now, right? If I have 10 clients, I can, message all of them and ask them to leave me a review about my product. So this would be a short-term goal because easy to achieve, and you know why you're doing it for the long-term goal to create this sense of trust and that you're a trusted provider.
Yeah, and either way, the review thing is huge at any stage in a person's business. Not only collecting the reviews, but responding to them is really important, and how to respond to them. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Adding some followers. So you might have like a short-term goal on how many new followers on Instagram you want to add. Could be, in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months or whatever.
For example, you're starting your Instagram account, and it's harder to add followers right away, and maybe you can have this goal for 1 month like we did before. We started a new account and we want to really grow it well, so we spent a lot of time trying to grow it to a certain point. So that might be short-term goal, but it might be actually important. And you start growing your account on steroids there for 3 weeks, we won't be able to continue a whole year because it's a lot of time, but you can set that little goal.
Right. So long-term goals, for example, here we have creating a new channel of communication. So that could be like a new social media account, right? So, I think we're going to talk about that in the next slide, so we'll leave that there. But so obviously longer term, increasing quarterly sales, increasing your brand identity is something that's going to take you, 3, 4, 5, 6 months minimum. Sometimes people can have goals that are a year, 2 years down the road, but it gives you a focus, right? It gives you something to work at every day, and then you're trying to hit those milestones as you go towards your long term.
Yeah, and sometimes if this is a business, long in business, and if you're long in business, for example, if you're planning to sell your business, the long-term goal makes sense. That would be for viability. You're posting, and then you will bring this to the table when you're selling your business, and tell them, I invested in marketing. Look how many followers I have. Look at my posts, and it will bring credibility for selling. If you're a new business, then it's going to be more, building those accounts and more for your brand exposure. So that you can get more business.
Okay, so SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time sensitive, right? So there's no sense having a goal that is so vague that, did I achieve it? Didn't, it's so general, so vague that, like, I don't know, for example, I want to become, successful. I want a successful social media account. It's just too general. So the goals that you set, they should ideally be something that's quantifiable or measurable, so that you can really track it. You can track it with data.
And you can break it too.
Or break it down, but at least something that when you get to that point where you have reached that goal, you can say, okay, I have achieved this. It's this goal is complete, right? So keep that in mind when you're setting goals. It should be something quite specific, that you can achieve over a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about any of those? Or
Measurable, yeah. It has to be measurable too. It's also it's similar to specific. You have to know how to measure this goal. Is it in terms of followers, in terms of sales, in terms of increasing your brand, in terms of people sharing your posts. It has to be measured. Like, you have to measure, did I achieve this goal? Did I get this amount of sales? Did I got this amount of followers? Do people respond to my post in the way I wanted them to respond? And then it has to be achievable. You cannot just say, okay, next month I want 10,000 followers, no matter what. How much time you're gonna spend. You have to spend to get 10,000 followers.
Yeah, and some people might think, oh, it'll push me. If I make it really the bar so high, I'll just be. Well, no, it's high. It's more likely that you're going to get discouraged. So try to make it achievable, and obviously we're here to help you. We have enough experience with social media that we can. Sometimes people set goals that we just know it's not possible, right? So it has to be something that's within your reach. It's
another
possible.
example would be, I want to achieve. I'm having 2 sales via my social media. I want to achieve 200 sales. Wait, you need a time for that. You cannot just achieve 200 sales in the next 3 weeks. Or you need a budget for advertisement. And then make sure that they are relevant. Like, sometimes people would push into something that is not even relevant for their business.
Yeah. Okay, setting the goal. So here's just an example. I want to gain 3,000 followers by next year without advertising. Okay, so it's pretty specific. It's very specific amount of number of followers, and the time frame is specific, so within a year, and then the budget, which is 0 in this case. This one is a little bit extreme, but I mean, it depends. Some of these accounts, they already have 10,000 followers or so, so they it's more feasible for some. I mean, a brand new account, maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but
well, from the other side is you have to encounter how much time you want to spend. It's not only you set a big goal and then we will break it down on smaller goals. Like, to have 3,000 followers by next year, it's about 10 followers per day.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you want to have 10 followers per day, for example, on Instagram, you would have to spend some time engaging, and you would have to consistently post.
Yeah.
It is achievable.
Yeah, that would be.
But you would have to spend that time, so you have to make sure you have that time. Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna get discouraged.
You'd be working at it every single day. Yeah, but that is possible to get 10 followers a day. But that's I think that's a really good point. It's how invested are you? Anyway, we'll help you figure out if it's achievable or not. We'll go to the next. All right, so here's a goal example, and this was mentioned already. So starting a new channel. Some people are dead set that, I have my Facebook page and that's all I need. I don't need a website. I don't need a Google listing. I don't need other social media platforms. Well, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. For lack of a better expression. There is just so many reasons why you should diversify on social media and try to have multiple channels. So we just gave a couple of reasons why. So only one channel, it generally requires a longer time to gain your followers' trust. They're only seeing you in one place all the time. But people are not just on one place; they're online. And your online presence, if it is diversified, then the same people, you're going to be visible to them on multiple channels, multiple touch points, and subconsciously that is going to gain trust. They're scrolling through their link, and it happens with us all the time. People reach out to us and they tell us that they've seen us kind of all over the place. So they're scrolling through LinkedIn, they see your post there, they go on Facebook, they see you there on Instagram, and etc., etc. And what it does is you're establishing those touch points, and we know that statistically it takes I think they say
7 to 9 at least.
7 to 9 minimum touch points before someone would consider even buying from you. So whether that's 7 phone calls, not usually. Usually it's they've kind of seen you around. Maybe someone has mentioned, they've kind of word of mouth, but this really helps to have a diversified online presence through several social media platforms. It's going to help build that trust for people who are kind of lurking and watching unbeknown to you.
Yeah, and a good example of that would be like, different platforms have a different ways to speak to them too. Like YouTube, you would always have a video, like a longer video of, explanation things. Instagram, you sometimes would have reels, like a short video or some engaging video. And you would have, on LinkedIn, you would have long form posts. So it's different ways you are approaching them. Let's give example of somebody who has multiple channels. So they saw you somewhere on social media, like on Facebook group, they saw you posting, and then they saw you somewhere on Instagram, and then they went and checked your website, right? You already have 3 ways, and then somebody shared your LinkedIn post, and then their neighbor mentioned you in the store. So they are bought here they needed that shampoo that you're selling, and their neighbor mentioned, he's like, yeah, exactly, I saw them all over the place. So that's the way it works.
We had that happen a few weeks back. Someone reached out to us, a complete stranger that we didn't know, but they knew us, and not only they knew us, they were already sold. So they wanted a website, and that was it. There was no selling involved. They had already made up their mind because of all of those touch points. Unbeknown to us, because we had put the work in on our online presence, they were watching. And they were watching for quite a while, I think. And when they made the decision to buy from us, it was without any intervention from us, right? So that's just proof that this works, right?
Yeah, and people would go and check your reviews. And good example of that too are why people putting different multiple social media channels on their website. And every time I check some people's website, I always open all of them. Because I'm curious to see, what do they have to say on different social media platforms. So it's just kind of gains your people's trust.
Okay, here's another example. Example number 2 would be to focus on a product. So this is really important. Focus on advertising the product or service which is most relevant to your ideal customer. In other words, what is the best product or service for you? Best ROI, best experience, just overall, it's just better for you and for your business if you sell that product. And we had sort of an aha moment with a client of ours recently doing this, where they just, after we were on a call for quite a while with them, and finally it just came to them, we should be focusing on this product. That's the best product to sell. And it really was a shift in their advertising. So this could be an example of a goal for you. It would be to choose the product or service, identify the one that is the best for you and your ideal client or ideal customer, and to start advertising that one or focusing on that one on your social media.
And sometimes people would do that mistake. They would just want to focus or say, oh, well, this is not selling so well. This product is not selling so well. Like, for example, let's say corner store. Say, well, fruits are not selling so well in our corner store. Maybe we will just start advertising them more. Well, you have to think about the ideal client Who are those people? Why do they come to your store? Are they actually coming for fruits? If they are coming for fruits, they're gonna go to co-op or to bigger store, right? Because they're going to shop. And if they come to corner store, they will come for snacks like we do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's part of the strategy, right? Like they're selling 10, 20, 30 bags of chips per day, and then they just have this idea. Oh, well, we're not selling enough fruits. Well, we got to start marketing fruits and start advertising fruits and posting about fruits. But when you really dig deep and analyze what others are doing and what really works on social media, you'll see that that's not a good strategy. That what you should be advertising is what actually sells and what is the best product for you guys, and to attract more people to that product or service.
And it's not always the most expensive product too.
Yeah.
It might be the cheapest product, but by quantity you sell it. It's gonna make difference, because if you sell 10 of them per day and your most expensive you sell one per month, you're probably gonna make more ROI on the ones that you sell 10 per day.
Yeah. All right, so that wraps it up for goal setting and the introduction of this course. We're going to do a separate video to explain the homework, where you're really going to dive deep into goal setting and a lot of other basic information about your company, which is going to help you with creating social media posts. So that is all for us. You have anything else to add?
Not to this one. To this part.
All right, we're really excited, guys. This is kind of a lifetime of work that is being compiled here and offered to you guys in course form. So we know this works, and we're super excited to get through all these modules with you guys. So as always, if you have any questions about the homework, about the video training, about anything at all, just reach out. Be happy to help. All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.